Hi, welcome to the Legio Custodes Force, the Solar Lords, by Smorgonite. So, Adeptus Custodes, Legio Custodes, the Emperor's Finest, the 10,000, many names that encompass the Custodes, but only one that is worthy of Smorgonite, and that is the Solar Lords. I started Custodes back in March 2018, I think it was, when they first started to push like the different styles of Custodes. Forge World still had a range, well, small range I say, a couple of tanks and some, I think the Sagittarium Guard were out at that point, but Games Workshop had only got the one set, and then they were starting to release the next few sets like Trajan and the Virtus Praetors and things like that. So I sort of jumped in at that point. That was when I sort of started looking into it. Obviously, some people may know that my background is mainly Night Lords for the Horus Heresy. It was something that I wasn't really thinking I would enjoy. I didn't think I would be overwhelmed with how much I enjoyed painting the Custodes, how much I enjoyed learning about the Custodes. I think one thing that was the main push for me was The Master of Mankind, the book by Aaron Dembski Bowden. Something that to me really spoke out on a lot of nice detail that I managed to learn from work. I was working at Tottenham Court Road Warhammer at the time. I was working as a staff member there, and it had just come out, and I bought it sort of from recommendations from other staff members and sort of read it, and I was absolutely enthralled. I loved the whole details that it went into about the Emperor. It went into sort of a lot of story with Arkan Land, obviously the famous architect who developed the Land Raider, and it also looked at a custode that at first I thought nothing of. It was only until the third or fourth read through that I started to actually really develop a strong connection with the character, Ra Endymion, son of the Water Thief. Definitely my favourite Custodes character, sort of following his story with the Emperor, showing him his visions and showing him why the Emperor is doing what he's doing. To me, it sort of, well, it spoke out. It meant a lot that the Emperor would show sort of a Custodes his final vision in its entirety. And you obviously get Diocletian and Constantine Valdor that have visions with the Emperor and stuff, but it was Ra that was originally shown his full plan, which to me it meant that Ra might be special, which obviously if you've read the book, I won't spoil it, but if you've read the book you'll sort of realise that he might be a little bit special. Now obviously there's no strict model for Ra Endymion, but I sort of converted my own one from one of the Forge World Inquisitor models, Inquisitor Hex I think it was, and I've put a picture of that in this post, along with the picture of my full Custodes force. So yeah, it started way back when and it grew. I originally just wanted to have sort of 50 power level. When 8th edition came out, 50 power was what I was aiming for of every army at the time. So I got to 50 power, and then it sort of went, well, I could do 100 power, and then it was very much well, I've got one of everything, I might as well now start looking at getting two of everything. And it sort of developed from there. The Custodes to me were a force that I sort of bought models in special occasions in my life. I do that a lot, so like if I go on holiday I'll buy a model from that area or from a Games Workshop store there. Like the day I bought my house, I bought the Telemon, my first Telemon, which had the fist and the storm cannon. So that one's sort of a special model for me for the Custodes. Now, the Custodes to me, well, I'll start with coming up with their name. So coming up with their name, I've recently read the Solar War and the Siege of Terror series. I've sort of kept up to date with it. I've just finished Saturnine, an amazing set of novels, definitely worth sort of, when you're done with the Heresy or Horus Heresy series, jump onto the Siege of Terror section, because wow, the story really develops, and you see a lot of different sides to a lot of different characters, and honestly, I'm lost for words with how good it's becoming. And hopefully, at the moment, touch wood, we'll hopefully get some more books soon, because it's been a while since Saturnine was released. I'm lucky enough to have them all in limited edition format, so I've sort of read them a little bit earlier than the other people that just get the normal editions. But anyway, so I was reading the Solar War, and I liked how the Solar War focused on Imperial Fists and their defense of sort of the solar system, and obviously out near Pluto on the bases over there, and sort of guarding for the traitors that then just appear, and it's like, well, that's too late now. So I sort of was putting names together, and I came up with all sorts, but I think the Solar Lords were the ones that stuck. It just seems as though it's got a bit of oomph to it. It's got a bit of sort of entitlement, which I think Custodes have built in, obviously, with how special they are from the point of the Emperor made one of them each individually, kind of thing. So I managed to get up to about 25, nearly 30,000 points worth of Legio Custodes for the Horus Heresy, which is a lot of models. Maybe not as many as it would be if it was another force at 30,000 points, because obviously the Custodes, they're like 50,000 points each. But I was lucky enough that I've sort of managed to get 2 Ares, 2 Orion, 2 Cronus, 2 of each of the Caladius tanks, and then 2 units of 3 Pallas Grav tanks. So I've sort of got the full tank formation, and then enough models to sink a battleship. I think on the final count it was 192 models of Custodes that I've got, plus Ra, so actually I suppose it's 193. So yeah, fair few Custodes models, but I enjoyed painting every single one. I've got the plan for the Sentinel Guard, who have the sword and the shield. I've got the plan to, when I use them in game, go back and repaint their shields white, sort of with the feathered sort of effect on the shield, just so that it can... I was saying to Rhodey and to Minion and Croydon that if we were to play some Heresy games and the Custodes models do something epic, like they finish off a character or they finish off a Primarch or something just cool, that they would have their shield individually painted white. But unfortunately, what with the this situation with COVID, we've not actually had many chances to play any games. So we're hoping to get some games in soon when the lockdown sort of eases and settles down. So maybe soon I'll go back and be repainting the Custodes shields. Now, I've got 50 foot soldiers, so I've got 30 Sentinel Guard and 20 with Guardian Spears. Now, obviously, that's quite a lot of foot soldiers with Custodes. I don't actually have any converted Heteron Guard yet. That's something that I'm going to be planning on doing down the line. I'm going to be doing them with fists and shields and stuff, just to give them a bit more sort of difference between them and the normal Custodes. And obviously I've got some Wardens, which at the moment I sort of use as Heteron Guard, but I want obviously fist and shield because that's such an awesome combo with the strength and the AP. It really gives you sort of a nice bonus when charging at a tank, an enemy tank, or a dreadnought or something bigger. With regards to Custodes, I've got the plan now with reading Saturnine that there's also a friend of mine who's not part of strategic painting. A friend of mine, he wants to do a faction of every traitor legion, so sort of like a kill team of word bearers, or a full assault force of Iron Warriors or Sons of Horus or something. He's wanting to look into doing sort of different size armies for all of them to then have an encompassing traitor force. Now I sort of said, well, that's a great idea, so I'll do the same. I'll aim for sort of getting every Space Marine Legion a different size army for each legion, but encompassing a whole larger legion. Now originally the plan was to do Imperial Fists first, because obviously reading the Solar War and Lost and Damned and then The Last Wall, then it was Blood Angels, and then it's changed back to Imperial Fist, but I think now I've sort of settled on doing Dark Angels first. No spoilers or anything, but they seem to be up and coming and quite awesome, and been doing a bit of research into the background for them and a bit of lore on them and the Lion and where they all come from, because originally, as I've mentioned, I'm a Night Lords player originally, so it sort of never really bothered me to look into them. I don't know how I'll feel after looking into them and maybe painting a test a few models, but we'll see whether or not it becomes a fully fledged force. So that's basically a little rundown into my Custodes force. It's 1 second. So that's a little rundown into my Custodes force. It's something that I've got, as I say, I've got a lot of money's worth of models because So that's a little rundown into my Custodes force. I've got a lot of models that are, as you can see in this picture, that is attached to this post. It's something that I'm passionate about, the Custodes. I love them. I love the background. I love the characterization in all of them. And you've got to love Ra, son of a water thief. Ra, the jailer of Draknien, the demon. Definitely one of my favourite characters. Watch this space and we'll see what post comes up next. I don't know what Legion it'll be. Croydon's looking at me painting some of her Space Wolves, so it might be Space Wolves that I look at, but we'll have to have a look and see what we think. Alright, well, thank you very much for your listening if you made it this far. I'm sure not many of you did. Me just rambling about my Custodes. I could go on for hours, but I'll keep it short. So thank you very much and take care.